Have you ever asked this question for yourself? What is the meaning of life? Yes. Whatever you want it to be. Now, I'm going to show you how do you actually get whatever you want it to be going forward. Okay, now I'm going to tell a little bit of a story. The book is called There's a Hole in My Sidewalk by Porter Nelson. Okay, so the first chapter says, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. Okay? Now, when I'm doing this, think about your life. I fall in it. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault that I fell into this hole. It takes me forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. Guess what? I pretend I don't see it there. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. Okay? It still takes long for me to get out. Chapter number 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. Think about your life as we're going through this. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter number 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Success. Now, most of us, and I'm going to talk a little about this later on in my own life, most of us, when we get to this, we think we've arrived. But when you get a little bit more mature like me, and you get some of this grey stuff on the top of your head, chapter 5 comes to be applicable to you. And chapter 5 says this: I walk down another street. Not the same street, another street. It's called the Street of Significance. Now, you would have heard yesterday some people say to you, many times it's about what's in it for me. We live in a culture that says, what's in it for me? In reality, we all have different talents and gifts. And the trick in life is to find out what is it that you can do for others. And if you answer that question related to your own gifting, it actually becomes significant. When do we actually start walking down a new street or start walking down the same street? 31st of December, would you agree? New Year's resolutions. Okay, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not so. Happy New Year. And everything's supposed to change. In reality, I believe it should actually be sad old year. Because in reality, those New Year's resolutions don't actually last very long afterwards. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to gym. Or I'm going to get that career or that job that I've always wanted, that I know is waiting there out for me, and it just doesn't come. So, walk around it. For me, in 2000, the year 2000, I turned 40. So now you all know exactly how old I am. And I'm not worried about my age, because I think I'm a youngster. I turned 40 in 2000. I did one of the things that I was dreaming of since I was a boy this height. I am an avid Man United supporter. And I mean avid. I used to be absolutely fanatical when I was a youngster and when I grew up. In 2000, I went to Manchester United. And those who are Man United supporters will remember it was the year that we won the treble. Now, in 2000, I met the whole team. And I thought I was on the top of the world. I was on the top of my career at 40. I just lived my dream of meeting Man United. And yet I was unfulfilled inside myself. The same thing happened to me in 2007. I was then 48 years of age. And I said to myself, you know, this has been knocking on my door ever since I was a young guy of what I really wanted to do. Now, when you have the big job with a big package, and that's why I'm saying this to you now, it is very difficult to say, no, let's make a change. I was indirectly, and I believe it's by the grace of God, forced to make a change. The organization I worked with, which I was the CEO of here in Cape Town, and I was earning a fat package, decided to relocate to Johannesburg. And my family said to me, and my family is very important to me, said to me, Aikona, I'm not moving to Johannesburg. We Cape Townians, we're going to stay here. So I took a package. Now understand this, I took a package as the CEO in 2007 to start pursuing that which I always believed was my passion and my purpose. Okay? For 7 months after earning a fat package, I earned nothing. So understand, I moved from change in employment to unemployment. Okay? But I started realizing what Zig Ziglar, and I'm an avid reader, I love reading. And Zig Ziglar says you've got to move from survival to stability. I'd already gone past that. And some of you might feel you're in that case at the moment. Stability to success, I'd already got that. But there comes a time in your life where you actually move from success to significance. And the only time that you do that is when you use your God-given talents to help other people. So there's 3 M's that one has to look at in life. One is, who's your master? The other important M that you've got to look at in your life is who's your mate. Pick your mate very well, because your mate can be your best ally. The third one is, what's your mission? Okay? We act as though as though comfort and luxury are the chief requirements of life, when all we need to make us happy is something to be enthusiastic about. Life management precedes time management. Okay. Not every village produces a great sculpture, but a great sculpture can come from any village. Okay. Establish your position. We're all complex beings, okay? And there are different areas in our lives. I'm going to touch on some of those as well. These areas are interdependent. So don't think for 1 second that money is more important than physical health. In actual fact, if you don't look after yourself, it will impact your wealth in the future. So they're all interrelated. There needs to be harmony, and this harmony in terms of the balance creates what one calls peak performance. The different areas that you have are the 8 areas really. Spiritual, intellectual, and physical, I think, are the most important. The others, family, business, financial wealth, social, and rest, are also important. The top 3 cause us to really make a difference in terms of our lives. Now what I want to do is I want to talk about habits. Okay. Does anybody know what this is? Shack. You're quite right. Some people call it a shack. Other people call it a shelter. Okay? Do you think that people who live in shacks have dreams? Huh? Yes. And do you think people who live in shacks can have a dream of something like that? Do you think it's practically impossible? Why? Why do you say it's not possible? Absolutely. Everything's possible. To me, absolutely it's possible. Anything you can think of, you can have. But there's a discipline to get in it, which is what I'm going to show you. But one thing I always find, this is, some people call it a mansion or palace, but one thing I always find amazing is both of these things are called habitats. Would you agree? It's where I habit at. Now for me, the interesting thing in habitat is the word habit. Okay? And our habits are extremely powerful in terms of where our life goes. So, this defines certain of your habits if you live there. But understand, if you live there and you want to live there, it's going to demand a different set of habits. Habits are very powerful in terms of breaking out. Okay. So I'm just going to run through this. In our book, we've got a section where we actually go through the wheel more scientifically. So we ask you a whole lot of questions on each of the areas. There's 7 questions per area on a rating scale of 4. Okay. 1 is low and 4 is high, and then you actually do the wheel. The one thing I must say that I find amazing in terms of the wheel is that your gut feeling is extremely close to the scientific. Then the exercise we've just done in terms of stop, start, more and less is there. And there's also a section in terms of some of your habits and that as well. Okay. So we've just done that. And what I normally do is I always ask people to actually go through that, identify 4, and then take the best one. Okay. So remember, your starting point doesn't determine your ending point. So you can live in a shack and you can end up retiring in a mansion. Okay. A balanced life is more effective and less stressful than one which is in chaos. Okay, just think about your home office or your home. If your home's in chaos, it's very stressful. If it's organized, thank you, Nicole, it's less stressful. Okay. Your habits are silently working to keep you where you are, or they can be the thing that releases you to where you want to go. And monitor your daily successes and be positive about your daily successes. Celebrate them. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on. The second step that we do is about determine your destination. And yeah, we're talking about where you now is not nearly as important as the direction in which you are moving. So understand where you are now is not so important as the direction in which you are moving. So, imagination. I say the greatest nation in the world is imagination. Okay. Very important. It's about focus. And that's what this tool actually does for you. It's about a magnifying glass. You can use a magnifying glass to actually start a fire. A piece of glass in the felt can cause a massive felt fire. Ever bought a new car here? Anybody? Anybody bought a new car? Okay. Ever notice that once you've bought that car, all of a sudden you see all the cars that are the same? The shopping list helps you to focus as well. And experiment with this. Experiment with what things help you actually to focus at the end of the day. I use the World Cup because I think as the World Cup in South Africa was a massive turning point at one stage in South African's history. Unfortunately, I think we've lost some of the magic. But I use that to try and help you encapsulate what you need to do. Number one, if you think it, ink it. Ever woke up in the morning and you've dreamt a phenomenal dream and you haven't written it down, and half an hour later you think, yes, what was that dream about? Yeah. Exactly. Huh? So write things down. There's a power in writing things down. Okay. The group stages is about categorizing. I'm going to run through that, short term, medium term, long term. The round robin's about selecting your top 3. The quarterfinals is about prioritizing your top 2. The semi-finals is about ranking your top 25. And the finals is about your top 10 or top 3. So first of all, what you do is, the most important thing is to dream. Dream what you really want. What's going to be important for you in all areas of your life. And you do this for each area. Okay. The next thing you do is you categorize those into short term, medium term, long term. Short term, less than 6 months. Medium term, 6 months to 18 months. And long term is 18 months and more. Okay. And you actually then put them down into each of the areas. And the tool that you have actually helps you do that. Then you take that and you categorize those. Okay. And you come up with your top 3 goals. Then you categorize those and you come up with your top idea. So the important questions and quotes that I think are relevant here, and I've said this one, the weakest ink is stronger than the strongest memory or thought. If it's not on paper, it's vapor. Disappears, I can tell you that. Remember, use your imagination and don't limit yourself by any of the following. Time, money, or your ability. All of those can be overcome. I'm going to show you how. So after you selected your top 3 goals for a particular area, ask yourself the following questions. Are these ideas the result of imagination? Will these lead to success or significance? And does this resemble a to-do list or my real goals? All right, so if you look at this, this is just now running through what you've got there. Your imagination is you write everything down, okay? And I'm just showing you the pages that are linked up to the actual tool. Then you come up with your top 10, okay? And from that, that's the 2 that you've chosen from each of the areas, okay? Your top goals, the top 3. And I always say, once you've done this exercise, right in the beginning of the tool, there's this thing about vision, mission, and values. I always say to people, leave that to the end. Because all your thinking and dreaming helps you crystallize what's your mission.